Hi, thank you so much for tuning in with God Allows You Turns. And today I wanted to talk about something that has been really bothered me about what's going on here now during this time of quarantine. I know that we've been looking at the news a lot and perhaps reading the newspaper, and there's a lot of things that have been, happening in today in society. So many events, and it's kind of like we have to pick and choose which one bothers us the most because there's so many issues going on right now. We're going from politics to all these social issues that are really hitting us hard. But one of the things that really have come to my attention, that because I guess as a psychology major, that I look at and that really I struggle with, is when I started to look at the amount of and the degree of abuse, that's been going on in the homes of people. There have been a lot of, abuse with, families, children, women, men, just a lot of, social abuse and home abuse that's been going on in today's society. The level of it has skyrocketed. I mean, it's been going on a high for the longest time, and a lot of people have been wondering, it's like, why it's been going on? Why all of a sudden all these people are being mistreated, and there's so many abuse that's been going on with women in their homes, and why is this domestic violence rising all of a sudden? Well, let me tell you something. This is not just all of a sudden. And what's going on here now and during quarantine, and the ever since this virus started, to hit us, it's just basically just magnifying the problems that already had been there in society. And let me just give you an example. Before, when a child was being mistreated, they could be, let's say they would go to school and the teacher would notice the abuse, and they would call CPS, Child Protective Services, and they would let CPS know, hey, this child is being abused. And what would happen if CPS would automatically, they would intervene, they would go to the homes of the child, and they would find out what was going on. And if the child was being mistreated, then the child was being transferred to another home. They were just being completely taken away from that house, and the parents started to be on an investigation until they would come to the reason and of why this abuse was taking place, and they could come and do some kind of consultation and counseling for these parents to become better parents. And it sounds real simple, right? It sounds like step 1, 2, 3 to get the result, but it wasn't as simple at all. Okay, the problem that have been going and has been existed for the longest time of domestic violence and domestic abuse in the homes have been going on for years. And I would like to say that CPS has been doing a wonderful job, and it's been really the beacon of light in these situations, but unfortunately that has not been the case. And I know this firsthand. It's not because Child Protective Services it's a bad organization. It's because they're so overwhelmed with so many cases, and there have been cases where they have been neglectful, and they have not done their job the way they're supposed to be. But there's some other cases where they've just been so overwhelmed by so many cases that it's impossible to really be able to, be able to deal with each case the way that it should. A lot of cases just slips through the cracks, and And I thought to myself, because I worked as a parent educator. You know, it's a certified parent educator. And basically what I did was I had to take a course to become certified in order to come to the homes of these parents and teach them how to basically become their child's first teacher at home. And the homes that I would visit would be homes that would be considered high risk, mostly because of their financial status. You know, there would be homes that would be poor homes. You know, they needed food, they needed ways to support their family and children, and they all mostly they needed help on how to become better parents. You know, and I have to say that by taking these courses and visiting these homes and doing all these home visits that I did, I learned a lot myself on how to be a better parent myself, you know, because we tend to see the faults in other homes. I don't know if you ever gone to a house and you say, boy, you know, if I were her mother, I would do this differently, or I would be so much organized. But it's different when you step into someone's you know, home, and you actually see their interaction, and you see the amount of resources that they have, you know, and they're able just to do, you know, very limited things, you know, with what they have. So in these classes that I took, I was able to go to their homes and provide them with some resources and provide them with some ways that they can educate their child and teach them how they can, you know, be better parents as far as being their child's first teacher at home, you know. So we would teach them how to make toys out of cardboard, you know, boxes with some glue and some glitter, and you know, and just teach them how to make things themselves with the kids. And they would learn how to do that, and it would be fun for them. It would be an inexpensive way of them to to play with their children, because they didn't have to buy any toys. So it was a very fun time. I remember that. But I could also see how it's easy when you don't have the resources to become entangled in a very angry setting. You know, you don't have the money, and you don't have enough materials and products and food and money for rent and transportation, or your car breaks down, and all of these issues, you know, create a lot of tension in the home. And right now we're living in a time where we are under quarantine. A lot of us lost our jobs. A lot of us, we don't have enough food in our refrigerator. We have our kids at home with us 24/7. Some of us, we have 2, 3, 4, 5 kids with us. Maybe our husbands went to work and we're the only ones alone at home. We have to keep the social distancing, so we can't really ask our neighbor to help us, or a friend to come over, or we are just alone basically with our kids, and we're pulling our hair because we don't know what else to do. You know, we have them yelling, we have them screaming. One wants a popsicle, and you only have one for to share for 3, and that can become just enough to, you know, make you completely, you know, mad, devastated, and you don't know what to do. You know, a lot of people have resorted to getting so mad that they just take it out on their kids, and they hit their kids, or worse yet, their husbands hit them and they hit back, and before you know it, there is domestic violence, and the children are yelling and they don't know what to do. When the parent hears the child yelling, they cannot take the yelling, and so they hit the child, and it becomes a very angry and full of abuse home, and as a child grows, they grow up in that environment, and they remember, they may be children right now, but they will remember the yelling that you did and the fighting that you did with them, and all of those things they always remember later on in life, and they'll learn how to do that. They'll treat their siblings the same way, when they have an argument or they have a disagreement with their sibling, they will learn to hit and to shove before they learn to talk it out and find out what's going on. And back in my day, just so, because I want you to know that we, our generation, we went through the same thing. Our parents were always were frustrated with things too, and we grew up sort of the same way. I remember, although to be honest, we never said it was abuse because we didn't feel like it was abusive. It's just the way that we grew up, but we remember that. And when I grew up in a time when my mother used to say, when we used to ask our parents, but why? And our parents used to say, because I said so. And that was it, that was the answer. The answer was because I said so. And even though it didn't make sense to us at 6 years old, 7, 8, whatever, we wanted an actual response. We wanted to know really why. We wanted an explanation, but all we got is because I said so. And we were like, okay, well, that's as good as it gets, And if we continue to press on, or if we behave badly, if we talk back, whatever the situation it was, okay, we weren't just going to, our parents were not the type to sit down and talk to us and be like, you cannot talk back to me. And because you talk back to me, you're going to lose these privileges. It wasn't like that, okay? They were raised the way, and that's the way they raised us, and that's how we learned, For instance, this right here, this is called a sandal, right? Well, I grew up in Puerto Rico, and this was called a chancleta. I know it sounds bizarre, but it was chancleta or chancla, This is what it's called. And let's say my mom was right here sitting, talking, or doing something, and my room was about that way, let's say about 10 feet away, right? And instead of her getting up and chastising me or disciplining me, it was a lot easier to just use this and throw it at me, and that would get my attention better than standing up and interrupting what she was doing to correct me. So she would just throw it at me, and it would either hit me wherever it landed. It could land here, it could land here, it could land in my behind. Wherever it landed, that's what got my attention. Sometimes it hurt. Sometimes it scared me. Sometimes we were able to shift and avoid it. She would hit it, and we were able to just run from it, and it didn't really hit us. So, but that didn't mean we were left with no repercussions, because the next thing that she would say would be like, "Bring it back to me. Bring this back to me." So we would call it, this was like a boomerang, because she would always get it back. And when you get it back to her, she could say, yeah, put it on the floor, and she would continue what she would be doing, or she would be like, pow! She would give you a good smack on your behind, and then she would drop it on the floor and continue to, to work on what she was doing. And that was one of the things. Another thing would be like, it would be the belt. It would be this, This was quite painful, depending on where it landed, But it was very scary more than anything, And it was more like, what did I say? Yeah, turn around. And pow, there's where it went, right in our behinds, you know. And this would work in different ways. Like this would actually, they could actually hit you with it, or just by taking it out and going like this, you knew what it was about to happen. Or she would just say, "You want me to take out the belt?" And you would be like, no, you know. So just by saying it, you would be like, mm-mm. It will work wonders, believe me. And but it was very painful. And I remember if once they hit you, you would cry and you would feel very hurt. But not only hurt physically, it would also hurt you emotionally, because you would feel like I don't know, it was kind of like a not very human like, you know. It would be like so distant, you know. It wasn't very uh, um, nurturing, I guess. But you know, discipline, we thought, well, that's the way it's supposed to be. And since everybody got it the right way, you know, the same way, I'm sorry, we never thought, you know, well, she's doing it because she doesn't like us, or my dad is hitting us because he has something against me, because everybody really got it, you know, the same way. And our friends and us, you know, we used to make fun of each other how we were, you know, disciplined that way. But another thing is, it was this, um, of course, without the leaves. And this was in, do you remember my grandmother, the one that I told you she was Pentecostal, the one that I used to visit in the, spend my summertime with her in the country? Well, this is something similar, although the one that she used was a little bit thicker and stronger. It wouldn't bend like this one. But just to give you an example, some people call this a switch, actually. And what it is when you would take this, take out the leaves out of it, and you would hit the the legs with it. Oh my goodness, that would be like kind of like it burned your legs, you know. It hit really, it would just hurt really bad, you know. And you would just like jump, you know, like if you were like this little horse or something, would just like, she would just smack you with it, and you were just like, oh my gosh, you know. You would like jump, you know, like if you were just like this little animal from the country. So anything, you know, any sort of thing like that, you know, that's how I grew up, and a lot of people in my generation grew up that way. But I'm going to tell you, what was bad about that was that it was something very um, it was something that did not work, and I'm going to tell you why. Even though it would work in the sense that we would not do it again, or if we did it, we knew what the repercussions were. We knew that it was wrong. You know, as far as teaching us right from wrong, we understood what that was. You know, that really was the point of it, and it worked in that sense. But it didn't work in the sense that every time we got hit, you know, and when we hit, you hit with anger, you hit with the sense that you want to hurt because you're so angry. And so that doesn't work that way, you know. The child becomes you know, he internalizes that pain, and internalizes in a way of saying, geez, I don't think mom really cares for me, or I don't think my dad really cares for me that much. I'm really just, you know, something that he just vents his anger on, or she just, you know, vents her anger on me. And there's no really, sometimes the child tends to doubt the love that the parent feels for the child. So what I'm trying to say is that it didn't work in the past, and it doesn't work in the present. Try to get rid of that type of discipline of your child. Do not use your force, your physical force, to hit your child. Don't use anything that you have in your hands. Don't throw it. Don't use it to impart discipline to your child, because it might create the opposite effect. You think it might work because you are causing, it's like the law of cause and effect. You did your crime, now you have to have the punishment. It's like society works. But when it comes to your child, that's not the most efficient way of solving a problem. I would say, first of all, during this time of quarantine, I know how you feel. You feel very overwhelmed and you feel like, my gosh, I don't know what else to do. I am about to lose my patience with this child. And a lot of us, when we have two or more kids, we have one that is very special. We have one that just knows exactly, how to, get on our last nerves. And that is the one that we have to ask God for a lot of patience for. We have to be very cautious of the way that we handle His discipline. And the best way, this is what I have learned. And first of all, when I got certified as a parent educator, they showed us to let those mothers have what you call a circle of support. You have to have a circle of support. There is no way that you can do it under quarantine, by yourself, with social distance, with low resources, with barely getting by financially. No, you cannot make it, okay? You have to ask for help, okay? And that is why the circle of support is so important. And the circle of support, basically what it is exactly that. It's a circle, and within that circle, there's several circles, okay? And in there, you have to have people that you know that you can count on, okay? There's no room for, oh, I'm embarrassed to ask this person, or pride. Let's say, oh, I'm not going to ask her because last time I asked her and she wasn't able to help me. No. There's no room for pride. There's no room for embarrassment. There's no room for, I'm afraid of what they may think, that I cannot handle it on my own. No, there's no room for that. On the contrary, you have to have that circle of support because you owe it to your children, okay? They did not ask for this. So they're not going to understand the situation that we're in right now in quarantine. They could only understand a little bit of it, okay? Because their minds can only go so far and their frontal lobe has not developed yet. So there's only a small amount of information that they're able to grasp at this point. So you getting mad at them because they don't understand your situation, it does not make sense. They are not going to understand that. Now, this is what you're going to do. You're going to have a circle of support, and it might start small, okay? Now you may ask, what is your circle of support? Well, first of all, it could be family members, okay? If you have your mother that can help, if you have an aunt, if you have cousins, anyone that you have in your circle of support, okay? If you haven't spoken to them in a while, this is the perfect time to talk to them and tell them and be honest and say, look, regardless of whatever differences we've had in the past, this is the time when I really need you, and I really want to be there for you as well. The circle of support can also include a church. If you haven't considered looking for a church, this is the perfect time for you to do so. There are churches everywhere, and although they're not open, the temple itself is not open, they are meeting all the time online. You can, there are countless of churches that you can meet online. You have churches that, let's say you like churches that are quieter. Well, you have quiet churches there. You have the Baptist church. A lot of them seem to be, you know, a little bit quieter. If you want a church that is louder, you have the Pentecostal ones. You know, if you want a church that is interdenominational, that has different denominations, you have churches that way, that believe in that and are open to that as well. All you have to do is just look into it, okay? You speak to someone who is in charge and you tell them what your situation is, and you have a plethora of people that are able to help you, that want to help you, okay? Did you hear what I say? They want to help you. So it's just a matter of you asking. It's just a matter of you getting rid of anything that inhibits you from contacting them, whether it be shyness or pride, or you are embarrassment, whatever the case it may be. Maybe you think, I don't want them to know what my situation at home is. Well, let me tell you, that is what churches are for, okay? And there's nothing that you can tell a church that they haven't heard yet, okay? Because that is what churches are for. Churches are the hospital for the soul. And right now, your soul is in need. Your children's soul is at stake right now. Your family, they need a home that can function. And right now you are able to provide it to them. You owe it to them, you know? And this is the best thing that you could do for them at this point. And this will help you get closer to God, perhaps closer to the person that you've kept at a distance for a while because you thought, geez, my problems are too big. I don't think God can help me in this situation. Well, let me tell you, God can and God will. It only takes for you to ask Him. It only takes for you to become vulnerable and say, Lord, I need you. I need you more than ever. I need you because my home is a mess at this point. I need you because my children are not happy, because my husband is not happy, because I don't have a job right now and I don't know how I'm going to make it, because there's an illness in the family and I don't know what to do. Lord, I need you right now. Just tell God how much you need Him, and I guarantee you that He is going to be right there with you, that He is going to be able to embrace you right there where you're at. It doesn't matter what the problem is. It's never too big for God. And in fact, that is exactly what He wants you to do. He's waiting for you to contact Him, to just say, Lord, I need you. That's all you have to do is say, Lord, I need you. Lord, put the people in front that I'm supposed to, follow. Surround me with people that are going to love me. Surround me with people that are going to be a blessing to me. And move away those that are not. Move away those that that are not going to be a blessing to me. Because right now, this is what you want, okay? This is the time that God has designed to enter your home and create the biggest difference you will ever see in your home, okay? Right now, you can't handle your kids. You can't handle your husband. You can't handle your job. You can't handle all of these things that are slowly falling on us, or rather quickly are. This virus and all of these other calamities that are falling on us as a society. But why do some people have peace in their lives as opposed to others that don't? The answer is in God. The answer is letting Jesus in our lives. That is the difference that Jesus makes. That is why we're able to have the peace that we have at this point. The Bible says in Proverbs that if we train our kids in the way that they should go, when they get older, they're not going to depart from it, And just like we don't forget how we were, hit like this with the belt, and we we don't forget what our parents used to tell us when they wanted discipline from us. The same way, we will never forget what the Bible says about training our children in the way they should go. When once you allow Jesus in your heart, you understand that there is um, a purpose that those kids have. Your children have a purpose, and you have a purpose. And together, you'll all get together and you'll pray and you'll talk about the purpose that God wants in your lives. And it's no longer living just to live, but it's living for Jesus. And that makes a big difference. A lot of times we bring our we bring our pain and our suffering that we had from when we were children into our homes and into our relationship with our children, okay? But if you have not dealt with the past hurts that you have as a child, okay, there's very little chance that you have on raising your child appropriately, in a godly way, because you are carrying a lot of hurt and anger from the past. So you have to make sure that you forgive your parents for whatever mistakes they have made when they raised you, and tell them, Mom, Dad, I forgive you. I release you from any mistake that you had made for me as a child. I release you. I forgive you for hurting me. I forgive you for hurting me. And that would be a release that you're doing. You're doing it for yourself too, okay? Because you want to be set free from that. And you will understand and you will see that by you doing that, you are releasing all that pain and all that hurt. And when it comes down to your children, you are going to have more love and more patience towards them, because you will understand what great thing you've done by forgiving your parents, okay? When we are parents, it's when we understand our parents, okay? We understand their mistakes, we understand their flaws, and we say, oh, I'll never do that mistake. I'll never do that. Well, let me tell you, it's the same thing I said myself. I said, oh, I will never do that. Well, guess what? I've used the sandal. That sandal I showed you, I started using it early on. And then I said, what am I doing? I can't do this. I have to put this away. This is not going to work, okay? It worked better when I took away something that my child liked, a privilege. If I took away his phone, if I took away the 3 o'clock cartoons that he likes to see, if I took away his favorite book, if I took away the video games, those things work a lot better than if you hit your child and you use corporal punishment, okay? The same thing goes with hitting an adult, with hitting your wife, with hitting or pushing or shoving. None of those things should go on in front of your children or alone, okay? If you get to the point where you want to hit, where you want to shove, where you want to say bad words to that person, it's time for you to stop automatically right then and there, go to your room, and have some silent time for yourself, okay? And I suggest that you get on your knees and you ask God for help. Whether you believe in God or not, I guarantee you that God will show up for you there. If you just have a little bit of faith and you say, God, I've never talked to you before. I don't know if you can hear me at this point, but please help me, because if you don't help me, I'm about to do something I'm going to regret. Okay? And you close your eyes and you spend some time alone. If you have to, if your house is really small and you don't know where to go to your closet, go to the bathroom, go to the bathtub, close yourself, go outside, get away from the specific area where everyone is arguing and fighting. Just get away from that area, okay? And be by yourself in that particular place. Call someone that you trust and say, I'm losing it. I don't know what to do. I am becoming a person that I don't like. I don't like to be this way. I'm becoming an angry person and I need help. Please help me. Talk to me. Help me understand that this is not right. Okay? There are many steps that you can make to become the kind of mother, father that you want to be and that your children expect for you to be and deserve for you to be, okay? But think about how you would feel or how you have felt lately by losing your patience, by saying the wrong things to them, by hurting their feelings, by calling them dumb or stupid or you don't understand or you're worthless. Have you ever said those words to your children? Well, let me tell you something. There's always a way for you to go back, okay? The world tells you, oh, you messed up. You're a horrible mother. You're a horrible father. There's no way you can come back from this. But God tells you, yes, you can. God allows U-turns. Right there where you're at, you can turn around. And first of all, you go to your children and you tell them face to face, okay? You tell them, you know that time when I called you stupid? I'm so sorry for calling you that. You are not stupid. You are beautiful and you're bright. And I am the one that has not been patient with you. I lost my patience. I became angry. And I want to say, I'm sorry for calling you those words. Would you forgive me? And wait for your child to forgive you. Wait for your child to explain the way she feels, okay? It's very important for them to tell you the way they feel. They might talk a lot. They might say, well, Mom, when you said that to me, I felt really sad. I've let them talk, let them just completely say everything they feel inside. And that's going to be very cathartic and healing for them and for you as well. But you have to make a commitment to themselves, to yourself, and to God to not talk to them again in that manner. Also, I want to encourage anyone out there, anyone who has ever experienced child abuse, to get help, okay? I also want to encourage anyone who has seen child abuse, let's say some houses down from you, by your neighbor, by someone that you know in your family. Don't let it go on. If you suspect child abuse, please call Child Protective Services. Please call the police department. And this is the child abuse and the the abuse that we've been seeing in the homes has been terrible. They've been almost to the point where people have died, and people have died from domestic violence. This is very serious, and it doesn't matter if you are a Christian. This happens in the church. This happens within people that love the Lord and in Christian homes as well. I know that we don't like to see it and to say it, but it's true. It happens, okay? It happens because a lot of times Child abuse is something that we've experienced when we've been children, and we again perpetuate the same violence. But we have to break the cycle. And maybe God has placed you in that position. God has placed you in a position where you can break the cycle of someone that you've seen being, you know, attacked and beaten and bruised and verbally abused as well, not just physically. Sometimes the words can hurt even worse than a beating. So I want you to be watchful. I want you to be prayerful with this situation. And even if it's not you, please pray for all of us. Pray for the people that you see on the TV. Pray for the people that you see on the newspapers, and everyone that's around us during this time, okay? The virus, the pandemic, quarantine is no excuse for violence and no excuse for us to turn away from God. But it is the perfect time to make a U-turn and love God and embrace Him and tell Him how much you love Him and tell Him that this is the time for you to change and become the person that God wants you to be. God bless you.